Hello everyone. I want to apologize first for not making videos lately, but I have a family member in a hospital, and with work and with that, it's been really crazy and hectic, so I haven't really had a lot of time for crafting at all. But the little time that I've had, I've dedicated to wire work. And I want to show you this little project that I've made and teach you how to make this as well. It's these funky urban handmade wire earrings, and these are really kind of easy to make. You just need a couple of tools. You can make these with any kind of wire and with any color wire, so you can really make these to match almost any outfit. So let me first show you what you need to make these. So the first tool you will need is an anvil or a steel block in order to hammer the wire. And it needs to be a hard surface, like hard metal. Steel is the best. And it needs to be completely smooth so that it will not mar your wire. And this is a small jeweler's anvil that I bought recently from a local store here. And it's very, very heavy because it's steel, but it is very good, although I would like it to be a little bit bigger maybe, but I just haven't managed to find that. But one of those steel blocks that you can get from craft stores is completely fine with this. You will need a hammer in order to hammer your wire. Now, rubber or nylon or plastic are the best. I haven't found one of those yet that I would like, so I'm using this small metal hammer, and I can use this because this is very smooth here at the end and it will not mar my wire. But I would like to find a nylon hammer because that's really the best. So a hammer like that, and then you will need a pair of ear wires, obviously, any type of ear wires that you like. You will need the wire. Now this is of course the most important thing. What you can see here is aluminum wire that is 1.5 millimeters in thickness. I'm really sorry, I can't remember what that is in gauges, but you can find that online if you're interested. 1.5 millimeters is the thickness of this one. Aluminum wire is really lightweight and it's really malleable, and I really like it a lot, and that's why I use it. But you can use any kind of wire. If you use any other kind of wire like copper, remember that copper is harder and it will take more hammering, but this is very soft and malleable, so you don't really need to hammer so much of this. And of course you can use any color wire you want to. And then you will need all the usual jewelry pliers, and you will need these pliers. If you don't have these, don't worry, you can work around this, but these are really good to have. These are called flush cutters, and what they make is they make a completely flush or even end of wire. Here you can see a piece of wire, and I'm hoping I can show you what I mean. Let's try to sharpen again. There we go. So you see that's completely even like that, just like that. And that's what you need, and that's what a flush cutter will give you. Start making the earrings by cutting 2 equal pieces of wire. Now these pieces of wire that I have here are about 10.5 centimeters or 4.1 inches in length. And they need to be flush cut, so they need to be straight from the ends. If you don't have that, if you don't have flush cutters, stay tuned and I will show you how you can make that later. Now take one of your wires, and now you will need your steel block or your anvil and your hammer. We will start off by straightening the wire, and this is actually quite straight already, so I don't really have to do anything with this. So I'm just going to place this on my anvil, and what you will start doing is you will start hammering it flat. Now, how flat should you hammer it? That's completely up to you, but you can see what I'm doing here and kind of follow my example, or then you can do something different, anything you like. But this will have quite strong noise, so I will only do this for a short while, and then I will do the rest off camera because I don't want to break your ears. But the reason why I have this towel here is that it will kind of mute the noise a little bit, because if this anvil was against my wooden table, there would be more noise. But let's start. Now you can see it getting flatter as I'm working on it. And I will continue to do this and see which kind of thickness I like, which kind of width I like. And I will do this whole piece, and once I've done that, I will come back to you. So here is the flattened hammered wire next to the unhammered and unflattened wire. And what you see has happened, it has grown a little bit in length and it has doubled its width. Now, if you use colored aluminum or craft wire, you need to be very careful when hammering because the color might start chipping off or peeling off. And I know because that happened to me. Now, the next thing that you will need now that you have hammered your wire is you will need a pair of chain nose pliers. And we will start doing the curl from any end, it doesn't matter which one. And what I'll do here is I'll grab this or grip this wire with my pliers at the very tip because I want to only make a very small curl here, and then I'll just make a small curl. So I'll start to turn this small curl here at the end into a bigger curl using my chain nose pliers. And the way to do this is grip this wire or this loop here at the end with your chain nose pliers, and you will actually not be moving your chain nose plier hand at all. You will just hold on to it and you will start pushing the curl or the wire upwards, and you will need to reposition your pliers constantly, but you will not do this curling with your plier holding hand. You will do it by just pushing up this wire that you have in your hand. So that's how you do the curling here. And of course, if your curl is not perfect, it does not matter. This is a handmade piece and this really has sort of a funky urban kind of look, so it really doesn't matter if it's not perfect. At least to me, that's the aesthetic of this piece. You can control the size of your curl here as you go and make it as big or small as you want. But if you have similar length or the same length in your pieces, then your curls will no doubt be almost the same size. Now I'm going to leave about that much wire here after I've curled it, and I will take my round nose pliers and I will actually do a little bend here. So I'll just bend it backwards so that it goes upwards like this. There we go. I seem to have a nice little curl here. I like that. I like the way it looks. And then I will again need my round nose pliers to make a loop here. Now, as you can see, I have quite a lot of wire left here, and I'm thinking that's maybe a little bit too much. And now I'm going to give you the hint that I mentioned before. I need to cut a little bit off here, and if you have used regular cutting pliers like this, then your end will not be straight like mine is because that was flush cut, but yours will more look like that. It will be a little rounded. And at this point, you can use your regular cutting pliers to make a straight line here. You don't have to use your flush cutters because you don't have a round wire anymore. You have a flat wire. So you can actually make a nice even end using just your regular pliers. Let me show you. So I'll cut a little piece out of here, and as you can see, it's a nice clean edge there. So by using these regular cutters after you flattened your wire, you get the same thing that you would get when using a flush cutter onto a round wire. Okay, so now I've cut a little bit off from there, and now I'm going to do my curl. And of course, the size of the curl depends completely on you, but I'm going to start from approximately there, and I'm going to start curling. And if I at this point notice that, oh my goodness, my curl is going to be a little bit too small, too much of this left here, this stem, so I can actually reposition my pliers a little bit and make it just the right size. So just pull upwards or forwards on your pliers, and you can make any size of loop that you want. But the loop is not straight, you can see here. It's not straight, it's going that way. And we can actually straighten it again using our pliers just by pulling that backwards, pulling it so that it is completely straight like this. Now I like to do a little bit of hammering on these ear wires, or these earrings I should say, after I've curled them. And I don't do a lot of hammering here, just a little bit to make sure that if it's not completely flat, because I've been curling it, that it now is completely flat. So I just give it a few hits on both sides. And there it is. Now making the little rings here can be a little tricky, so you can actually omit this piece of the design, and if you want to, you can attach an ear wire straight to this piece. But I think this little ring there kind of makes the design for me, so that's why I'm doing it. And I'm using a piece of wire, which is the same wire that I used for the earrings, and I'm using my chain nose pliers. If you have a jump ring maker, please use that, because it makes nice beautiful jump rings, and that's definitely on my to buy list, but I don't have that right now, so I'm using my chain nose pliers. Now of course your chain nose pliers, they are not even, you know, they taper towards the end, so you need to be kind of careful here, because otherwise your rings will be different sizes. But since I'm only making 2 rings, one for each ear wire, so that's why I don't really care that I'm making it with this, and the difference in size, that's really minimal. The way I'm making this is I'm just gripping this wire with my chain nose pliers, and I'm gripping approximately at that point, because I don't want my rings to be too big, which they would be if they were here, or too small, which they would be if they were here. So this seems to be completely a good spot to start. And I'm starting to curl this off, and as you can see, I'm curling it so that the wire actually goes to the thicker part of my pliers, and then I'm repositioning and continuing my curling like this. Hope you can see there. I'm just curling it like that a couple of times. Since I'm only making 2, then this should be enough. Now let's cut off 2 rings from here. Now it's very important to use flush cutters here, because otherwise your rings will not have a nice clean cut. So that's where my ring sort of starts, and that's been flush cut. So at the exact same spot here, I'm going to cut. So there we have our very first ring now. And since it's been flush cut, it's going to be easy to close. Now let's do the next ring, and again at the very same spot where this ends, I'm going to cut, and here I have another ring. There we go. So that's my rings. Now in order for these rings to look the same as the bigger curl, I'm going to do a little bit of hammering on them, but before that I actually want to close these. As you can see, they are not closed, and in order to close these, I'm going to need 2 pieces of, or 2 sets of chain nose pliers, and I hope I can do this here on camera. It's a little bit difficult to position my hands here right now, but let's see if I can do it. So I've closed my rings, and now I'm ready to do a little bit of hammering. There we go. So I'm just going to hammer these a little bit, and they will open. Remember that. They will open when you hammer them, but don't worry. You can close them back again. Just a little bit of hammering there. Now, for some reason, the other end there does not appear to be flush cut, or then it has been not flush cut very well. But we don't worry about that, because this is a handmade piece and it doesn't have to be perfect. There we go. That's number 1, and I'll do the other one later on. So what you need to do next is close this. And since I can see that, to me, this doesn't look like a perfect flush cut here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it again so that I can get a more perfect flush cut. And then I'm just going to close this. And the closing might take a little more power now, a little bit more muscle, because because obviously this is harder now that it's been hammered, and it might take a little bit of work here for you to get this nice and snugly closed. This is a little bit oval now, it's not a complete round shape, but that doesn't matter here because this is one of the reasons why I like this particular design. Is not perfect. Now actually when we close this, we could have left this a little open because now we need to open it up a little bit again, but it doesn't really matter. Let's put that in, close it back up. There we go. And make sure that the spot where it has been cut is right here inside the loop, so then you can't see it. Now let's take an ear wire. Let's open up the ear wire. And slide this in. Okay, I need to open it a little bit more because this is quite a thick wire that I have here. There we go. Close it up. And here we go. We have one ear wire completed. And it will look like this from the front, and it will look like this from the side. If you want it to look like this from the front, then you will need to omit this ring here, and that way you can make it to look like this from the front. But that's that, and as you can see, that was really not that difficult. It does take some practice to do wire work, but if you practice a little, I'm sure you will be wonderful at it very soon. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you have any questions or comments, please leave them underneath this video. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day. Bye!